Hey, we got another wrestling pay-per-view recap, and this month it's WWE Fastlane. Obviously, I know I'm late to the train on this one, but terrible name for a pay-per-view. I mean, I understand you can't do Elimination Chamber anymore because you can't find an arena big enough to hold that chamber, but still, like, Fastlane, we couldn't just go back to No Way Out, or resurrect Judgment Day, or Unforgiven, or Fully Loaded, or something like that. Of course, I've always felt that the February pay-per-view in between the Rumble and Mania is sort of pointless to begin with, but, that's an argument for a later time on how many pay-per-views WWE has. Anyway, on to the matches. Our first match was the six-man tag between Dolph Ziggler, Eric Rowan, and Ryback, facing off against the Authority of Seth Rollins, Big Show, and Kane. A lot of S's for some reason, I don't know why. And first off, I got a bit of a complaint on this match too, because they basically introduced each member individually. Each of the six men got their own entrance music. First the good guys, and they all stood at the top of the entranceway, and then they went into the ring, and then the music of each of the Authority guys plays, and they all go down to the ring, and it's like, that just screams of you're trying to pad out your pay-per-view. Would it have killed you to just use one superstar entrance per team? Your pay-per-view would be 2 hours and 50 minutes instead of 2 hours and 58 minutes. Anyway, boy, this match was really forgettable. I mean, there's a spot where Rowan hurt his knee and got beat on for a lot, and then he managed to get a tag into Ryback, who got beat on a lot, and then, Ryback got the hot tag to Ziggler, and then Ziggler was starting to get a bit of an advantage, and then, he had Rollins set up for Kane. It was Kane, not Rollins. Kane's set up for a superplex. Big Show hit him with the knockout punch, and Kane covered after that, and Team Authority won. And, I'll say one thing about this. Is Eric Rowan really better off not being in the Wyatt family? It seems like he hasn't really done anything. All he's done is get his butt kicked. I mean, this is a lot like when WCW had Raven's Flock, and they said all those guys were going to their careers were going to take off once Raven's Flock broke up. And you could argue obviously Kidman and to an extent Perry Saturn, even though he had left the Flock by the time they had broken up. They had pretty good careers, and Lodi wound up in the West Hollywood Blondes gimmick. But Scott Riggs got the model Rick Martel gimmick, and then went over to ECW. Sick Boy, signed with WWE, was never used, was going to be used in the infamous Katie Vick angle, and that just blew up. And Reese just disappeared off the face of the planet Earth. And like I said, you know how good a match this is when I'm talking about WCW's incarnation of Raven's Flock. Anyway, after the match, the Authority are beating down on the good guys, and then Randy Orton's music hits, and Randy Orton comes in and RKO's most of the guys except Rollins, who manages to get away, and no real surprise there. I knew they were setting something up, because basically in the weeks leading up to the pay-per-view, whenever Rollins was talking with Triple H and Stephanie, they were all like, yeah, you're the real future. You're the real face of WWE. You're the real man who should be leading this company. Randy Orton wasn't that good. It's like you knew they were just egging Orton on and begging for him to pop in like that. Okay, and then our next match, we had Goldust versus Stardust, or Cody and Dustin, Dustin and Cody, to be more precise. And again, there was sort of a weird build-up to this match where they showed this little interview in the back between Dusty Rhodes and Goldust. And Goldust is talking about he used to take Cody to the matches that their father wrestled in. It's like, no, you didn't, because Cody's even said this. In Cody's formative years when he was younger, Dustin and Dusty weren't talking to each other. And not only that, but Dusty really wasn't wrestling in that time frame either. He had pretty much quit and was doing announcing. So that doesn't make any sense at all. And, the announcers even made that point that, Cody and Dustin really didn't grow up together, so they didn't really have that great a relationship. But earlier they just said they did. There's a bit of like I said, this match was actually pretty good. There was a scene, there was a spot where Goldust countered Stardust's attempt at a Tombstone Pile Driver and put it to the curtain call. Yeah, I'm taking notes again. Throughout the match, the crowd was continuously chanting Cody, Cody to antagonize Stardust because he doesn't want to be referred to as Cody anymore. And then Goldust wound up countering the Crossroads finisher into a crucifix pin. The ref starts counting. He hits 1, 2. He starts going down for 3. It looks like Cody had kicked out. But then the ref calls for the bell to ring. It's like, but he never counted that third part, and it doesn't make any sense. And, Goldust didn't really celebrate, but he just kind of got up and was like, okay. Goldust was announced as a winner, and Stardust just kind of sat there, and, Dustin offered Cody his hand, and Cody contemplated it for a second, and then just sort of slinked out of the ring. And then afterwards, there was another vignette in the backstage area where Dustin and Dusty, Goldust and Dusty, were talking, and then maybe that's shocked some sense back into him, and then Stardust shows up and starts egging him on, like, oh, Goldust is the favorite. Oh, why should I listen to you? You crushed Cody. Cody's gone. Cody's dead. And then he throws, and again, it kind of just reeked of being really weird for some reason. I don't know why. After that, we got a recap of the Seth Rollins-Jon Stewart feud. I wonder how they're going to pay that off. Hopefully not with a match at Road Wild. And then after that, we had the tag team titles on the line. The Usos versus the Brass Ring Club, who aren't, I guess, officially known as the Brass Ring Club, or are they? Or are they the masters of the WWE Universe? A lot of weird questions with this. For example, they're still kind of doing the Tyson Kidd and Natalya are breaking up angle, but Natalya's a heel, and Tyson's a heel, but they're together, and it's like, could you just do one storyline and stick to it? This was a pretty good match. Good high spots, a couple flying Uso scenes. I don't know if this was a botched move or not, but there was a spot where I think it was Jimmy Uso took Tyson Kidd off the ring apron and tried to hit a Samoan drop on the outside of the ring, but mistimed it or something. They both wound up hitting the security barrier really hard. It's kind of a weird moment. Anyway, the Brass Ring Club won when Kidd hit a Fisherman Net Breaker on Jimmy, and they got the 3 count. And funny thing was, Lillian Garcia flubbed a bit, and she announced something that sounded like, still the new tag team champions. The winners and still the new tag team champions. Weird moment. And up next, we got the big Sting Triple H confrontation. Triple H comes out and he's in his leather jacket and jeans instead of his suit because he's ready for a fight, as the announcers say. Sting comes out. Triple H says he felt sorry for Sting because Sting was the diehard heart of WCW and the company just crumbled around him and there was nothing he could really do about it. And, he was afraid of his legacy. And then Triple H offered to protect Sting's legacy. We'll give you the DVDs. We'll put you in the Hall of Fame. It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. Just leave WWE right now. And Sting looked at it and he goes, oh, you're not going to answer me. And so Triple H cracks Sting in the face with the microphone. Triple H goes to the outside of the ring. He pulls the sledgehammer out from under the apron. He starts going in there, and then Sting's got the baseball bat. And Sting sticks the baseball bat into Triple H's throat. Because, obviously, baseball bats are like swords. The deadly... So, he might stab him with the baseball bat. Anyway, Sting then points at the WrestleMania sign. They look up. You know, he looks. He goes, "You want WrestleMania?" And Triple H. Sting just stares. "You want WrestleMania?" And they're like, "Okay." And you know, leaves. Triple H tries a quick sneak attack on Sting. Sting realizes it and hits him with the baseball bat and then leaves the ring. Excuse me. Just a sec here. Yeah, I've been up since 3:10 this morning, so, and as I recorded this, it's almost 12:30. Anyway, back to that Sting Triple H bit. Boy, the crowd was really not up for it. You could hear people yelling things. It was just like, I think they were yelling boring, and one guy just kept going, "Come on, Sting, get him, get him!" I'm like, geez. Again, maybe that just speaks to the efficacy of the February pay-per-view. Okay, back to the notes here. After that, we had the Divas title match between Paige and Nikki Bella, and I got another kind of weird question. Why does Nikki Bella not wear the Divas Championship belt? Every time I see her, she's always carrying it. It's either over her shoulder or she's holding it in both hands on her way down to the ring. It's like, isn't the whole point of a championship belt is that you wear it around your waist? I mean, really the only time I see guys, anyone carrying a championship belt is if it's not big enough to fit around their waist. You know, like when Vader held the WCW title. Just a weird thing. Anyway, this was a pretty standard match. Some good spots. Bree hit like an Alabama slam, I think it was, on Paige. And boy, a couple of big spots where Paige's head just really bounced off the back of the ring. Like, I don't know if that's something that's got to be worked on, I think. You got to learn how to throw that thing so your people aren't, their heads aren't bouncing around. That's a one-way ticket to a concussion. Excuse me again. But the match ended with Paige attempting to do her submission hold, and Nikki Bella getting to the ropes, and then Nikki got a hold of Paige and pulled her headfirst into the second turnbuckle, and then rolled her up and got the leverage pin by holding on to Paige's tights. And again, why do the Bellas win? Because the Bellas are the only divas that matter. And after that, we get a great recap of Vince's now infamous Muscle and Fitness cover. And how much that is Photoshop and how much that is... oh boy, like, not a great idea. They couldn't just wear the suit. Okay, just a sec here. Okay, the next matchup is the Dean Ambrose versus Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental title. Let's see. Boy, my notes are not very good at this at this one here. Basically, the only noteworthy thing is there was this weird part with the announcers where they said Wade Barrett, where Michael Cole said Wade Barrett's been avoiding Dean Ambrose like the plague. And Jerry Lawler, for some reason, goes, "Are there still plagues?" Yes, plagues exist. So, yeah. I don't get what that joke was meant to do. It's like, Jerry's not that stupid. Anyway, Barrett went for the at one point, Barrett went for the wasteland. Ambrose kicked out. Barrett then tried to go for the bullhammer. Ambrose countered it into a roll-up for the 2. Ambrose tried to hit the double arm DDT a couple of times. But then at one point, Barrett then tried to just walk out of the ring and get a count out. But Ambrose wasn't having any of it and kept chasing him around and getting him back into the ring. And then at the end, Barrett grabbed hold of the ropes, and then Ambrose just started beating Barrett. The ref hit his 5 count. Ambrose did not stop beating Barrett, and so he got DQ'd. Obviously, they're probably going to save the title change for WrestleMania. And then after that, and the ring cleared out and everything, and After that, the lights turned off, and the druids came in with their torches, and the bell tolled, and the casket rolled out, and you knew what that means. It was going to be Bray Wyatt coming out to challenge The Undertaker. Actually, it was pretty good, because, I mean, I think everyone there just, I don't know so much the crowd, but I feel like the announcers really sounded like, oh, it's The Undertaker. I was like, I knew it was Bray Wyatt. I wonder how, and a lot of people had the Fireflies, the cell phones turned on, so I think they knew it was Bray Wyatt as well. But, you know, you got up there and you got a pretty good promo about how, you know, you lost. Now yourself are lost. You don't know who you are anymore. I need to save your soul by sending you to hell. So it actually could be pretty good. And then afterwards they go to the free-for-all crew, and them talking about, like, wow, that takes guts. He's challenging The Undertaker like that. Is he going to do anything? Well, obviously The Undertaker's going to respond. Excuse me. You know, sadly, I don't have a WWE Niagara Falls Cup like Artie Reynolds. Okay, after that we've got Rusev versus John Cena for the U.S. title. Rusev kind of dominated early on. He hit a big spin kick for a 2 count on Cena. A lot more physical stuff. Rusev would just beat on Cena. Cena would occasionally get a few licks in. At one point, Cena managed to get Rusev in a crossface, but Rusev then broke the hold. Rusev went for an accolade, but Cena countered it into an SDF, but Rusev made it to the ropes. Cena then countered Rusev's big kick into an attitude adjustment, got a 2 count, and the match ended with Rusev locking on the accolade, and it looked like Cena wasn't tapping out. He was trying to counter it. He kept trying to counter it. At one point, Cena managed to get up to his feet and was in the process of reversing the hold when Lana got up and distracted the ref, and this enabled Rusev to hit Cena with a low blow and then kick Cena in the head and then lock on the accolade. And by this point, John Cena was just out, and so they rang the bell, and Rusev wins. Again, no real shock here. I kind of expected either Rusev to win or lose by a DQ, and then they're going to carry it on into Mania where Rusev will lose. And that brings us to our main event. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the world title shot at WrestleMania 31. Before the match, it was revealed that Bryan had tweeted something about breaking Reigns mentally. And that can only mean one thing. Daniel Bryan is a scanner. He's going to try to make someone's head explode. Think about it. You know it's true. Anyway, early on, Bryan went for a lot of submission holds early out, but Reigns fought back. He hit a stun gun into a Samoan drop, and then he hit a lariat. Got a 2 count. Reigns tried to go for the Superman punch, and then Bryan countered it with a big kick to the stomach. I mean, front part of his foot went right into... You can't see my foot. The front part of his foot went right into Reigns' stomach hard. And it looked like Reigns was hurt for the rest of the match. Obviously, you can make of that what you will, but it was a hard kick. Reigns was kind of sitting in the corner. Bryan was hitting him with running knees. He went for one too many, and Reigns got up onto the second rope and hit Bryan with a power bomb. Got a 2 count out of it. Bryan then managed to hit a belly to back superplex. He locked in the yes lock, but then Reigns got into the ropes. Let's see. Reigns then hit a big gargoyle suplex, I think it was, on the outside of the ring. Bryan then countered Reigns' attempt at a shoulder block by dodging, and Reigns ran into the ring step. The ref was doing the count at this point, and he was almost at the 10 count, and both guys barely got in. I mean, I wonder what would have happened if they had both gotten counted out. Would no one get the title shot at WrestleMania? I mean, the rumor was that WWE was going to plan another triple threat match for WrestleMania. But that did not happen, as Bryan would eventually attempt, or Reigns would attempt a spear, and Bryan countered it into a small package. And then that was a 2 count. Then he hit the running knee a couple of times, and that was a new 2 count. Bryan then got another couple big kicks in. He went back for the running knee, and Reigns countered it with a spear, and he got the 3 count for the win. So Roman Reigns is in fact going to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar. And then after the match, Bryan was still dejected, but he went over and he shook Reigns' hand. He said, "Make sure you kick Lesnar's ass. You better take advantage of this." And that kind of ended the show. And in a way, I'm kind of glad, as much as I kind of ragged on Roman Reigns during the Royal Rumble recap, excuse me again. Like I said, as much as I kind of ragged on Reigns during that, I think this was a smart idea to put him in put him in that kind of match, have him beat Bryan clean, in a fairly convincing way. Bryan gave him a good match. Reigns proved he was tough enough to power through on that. He beat him clean. There was no outside interference. And we get a one shot for WrestleMania 31. And not that I'm opposed to triple threat matches, but we just had a triple threat match at WrestleMania. We don't need one the next year. Exactly. That really, one, it nullifies the importance of the Royal Rumble. And 2, again, you're spoiling too much of a good thing. So, again, hopefully we'll actually get a good match out of Lesnar and Reigns. They should. They're both pretty capable performers if the bookings goes well enough. I guess the big rumor for a while, too, is Bryan's going to be facing Dolph Ziggler. I don't know if that'll be for any sort of number 1 contendership. Obviously, Seth Rollins is still going to have his Money in the Bank briefcase, but I'm guessing Jon Stewart will probably be in the corner of Randy Orton or something like that. I don't know how that match is going to turn out. We're getting Sting and Triple H at WrestleMania. They confirmed it, even though everyone sort of knew that was going to be the deal anyway. Again, no real shock. We're going to get Bray Wyatt and Undertaker at WrestleMania. Funny thing was, I remember at one point it was going to be Sting and The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but both Sting and The Undertaker are really not in the best of shape right now, and so I think you need to put them in with more capable workers, so that should at least be entertaining and, well, maybe not entertaining, but watchable. And obviously we're probably going to get a return match between Rusev and Cena, and maybe a return match between Barrett and Ambrose, or they'll save that for the free-for-all. And yeah, I still call it the free-for-all. Well, I said I was going to do Raw tonight, and I will. So we're going to take a break, and I'll see you back for that. Yeah, we may get a quick appearance by the cat. I don't know when, but she's going to want to sit on my lap, and I can't do that if I'm sitting without the recliner back. So, anyway, I think to start things off, obviously, 3 hours is too damn long for Monday Night Raw. It really is. And I think everyone knows it. Okay, here's how Raw started. Randy Orton comes out, he calls out Seth Rollins, and they replay the footage of Rollins curb stomping Orton once on the announce table, and then Stephanie ordering Rollins to curb stomp Orton again on the ring steps. At which point, shouldn't this beef really be with Stephanie? I mean, she's the one who said, take care of him. Anyway, the Authority comes out. Steph tries to get Orton to rejoin the Authority, but Orton's not really having any of it. Steph then invites Orton to a, quote, business conference in the back, whatever that's supposed to mean. And the Authority starts to exit the ring, and then Orton accepts this idea of a conference. But we're not entirely sure. After that, Wade Barrett comes out, still without his Intercontinental title belt, which Ambrose still has. And he starts facing Dolph Ziggler. And during the match, R-Truth joined the announce team for some reason. Both Truth and JBL refer to Ambrose as a thief during their announcing. Back to the match. Barrett starts off being really aggressive. Ziggler, of course, makes his Ziggler comeback. And Ziggler countered a wasteland into the tornado DDT. Barrett hit a super kick, which was then followed into a power bomb. Let's see, Barrett went for the bull hammer. Ziggler countered it into a roll up. I'm having a look a lot at my notes here. But then Ziggler wound up hitting the zigzag on Barrett for the win. Then Ambrose came out with his IC belt. Barrett wants the belt back. Ziggler wants a shot at the belt. R-Truth wants a shot at the belt. So I gotta wonder if WrestleMania they're gonna do like some fatal four-way match or maybe a ladder match of some kind. Might work. Okay, and then we return to the Authority backstage. And it's neither Seth Rollins or Kane want Randy Orton back in the Authority, but Steph says if Orton's willing to accept it, they have to be willing to accept him. And Orton very tentatively accepts and says he's willing to let bygones be bygones and still be in the Authority. And so Steph makes a tag match, Orton and Rollins versus Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Sorry. I think, what was next after that? Yes, the Ascension then took on the now officially reunited Primetime Players. In a bit of a stunning move, the Ascension actually lost this match, which was apparently their first loss, except for the Tag Team Turmoil match they lost on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. Also, they announced that the Bushwhackers were being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, if I were to pick a tag team to go in, why not say Demolition, a team that was actually successful, had title reigns? I mean, the Bushwhackers were really a novelty act. I mean, unless you're counting all the matches they had as the Sheep Herders outside of WWE, which, if you don't know much of that history, the Sheep Herders were very much in the Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher hardcore scene. They cut themselves up. They were really hardcore matches, but like I said, I never knew anyone that was really, really into the Bushwhackers. Although, with guys like, say, Johnny Rods and Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame, I guess the Bushwhackers could fit in just as nicely. Okay, well then Roman Reigns comes out for a promo. He delivers the message. He says he's going to deliver a message to all his doubters. And then Daniel Bryan's music hits. Bryan comes out and he says, you know, of all the doubters, I was also a doubter of Roman Reigns. But after the match last night, you've earned my respect, and it seems like, you know, Reigns is the best guy to be in WrestleMania. Yeah. So that seemed to, well, bury the hatchet in that feud, for lack of a better term. Then Paul Heyman comes out, and he congratulates Roman Reigns. And Heyman just lost all this praise on him. He says, I would pick Roman Reigns over Bruno Sammartino in 75, and Hulk Hogan in 86, and, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin in 98, and The Rock in 99, and Triple H in 2000. But you're not going to beat Brock Lesnar. And then Reigns basically says, look, I am going to beat Brock Lesnar, and I can't remember too much after that. It was not an entirely great promo. Meanwhile, as this was happening, the crowd was basically looking up the ramp expecting Brock Lesnar to make an appearance. He did not. Nor did he make an appearance during the tag match in the main event, so... Well, anyway, we have a tag team... After that, we had a tag team title rematch. The Brass Ring Club / Top Level Club / Masters of the WWE Universe / Tyson Kidd and Cesaro versus the Usos. There was a lot of action early on outside the ring. A lot of stunts. Tyson Kidd did a lot of moves jumping off the ring apron. A couple of flying Uso bits. The Usos start to get the upper hand by hitting a couple double team moves on Kidd and Cesaro outside the ring. Going into the commercial break, and then after the commercial break, the BRC, or the Brass Ring Club, gets the upper hand. Kidd hit a big springboard elbow drop, it looked really good. Just a sec here. Yeah, still going through the notes, sorry. Kidd put a Tyson Kidd tried to get a leverage pin on the ropes, but Naomi broke it up, and then Natalya and Naomi got into a skirmish outside. This allowed Jimmy Uso to get the upper hand. He goes to the top rope for the Uso splash, and Natalya grabs his leg and interferes, causing a disqualification. Then Natalya got knocked down from the ring apron, which caused her to be hurt. I use the term loosely since I'm not entirely sure if she is, though I'm thinking it's just a spot, and as a result, Kidd and Cesaro retain the belts. But then in a backstage vignette with Miz and Sandow, Miz talks about how he wants to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale at WrestleMania because it's the one thing he's never won. And Mizdow talks about how he's getting a lot of acting offers, including a commercial, much to Miz's chagrin. And then we get another Bray Wyatt promo on The Undertaker. He says that the evil that was once in The Undertaker is now in him, and now in order to put The Undertaker to rest, he has to use it to defeat The Undertaker. We then get a match between Stardust and Jack Swagger. The Cody chants from the crowd are still going on. It still unnerves Stardust. Stardust gets caught in the ankle lock but makes it to the ropes, and then Goldust appears, and that distracts Stardust just enough that he gets put into the ankle lock again and taps out. And then Stardust just sort of sulks in the ring. Okay, and then after that we have a John Cena interview where he talks about what's next for John Cena. Cena started off by saying he had Rusev staring at defeat. He may have also had Vince Russo staring at defeat, but I didn't see that happen. But from what I saw, it didn't look like he had Rusev staring at defeat. Yeah, he was countering the accolade, but other than that, you don't know how the rest of the match could have played out. But he does admit that Rusev won the match, except that Rusev isn't the hero he claims to be, only a coward because he relied on outside interference and cheating to win. Rusev then comes out and Lana says, like all Americans, Cena gave up. Cena wants a rematch at WrestleMania. Rusev says no. Obviously, there's probably going to be a rematch at WrestleMania. Okay, we then get another backstage vignette with Orton and Rollins. Orton says that he wants to do what's best for business and he's willing to help Rollins, but he's not entirely willing to forget Rollins curb stomping him. But apparently he is willing to forget Stephanie ordering Rollins to curb stomp him. We then had a we had Paige come out for a Divas tag match, and then for some reason they went to commercial break, and when they came back they decided instead to show a big Sting vignette, which was fine. It was a good vignette, but it's like, why did you introduce Paige for the tag match if you're just going to show the Sting vignette when you come out of the commercial break? Anyway, it was a Divas tag match between Paige and Emma versus the Bellas. Bellas won in a squash, and then beat up on Paige. Why? Because the Bellas are the only Divas that matter. We then had Curtis Axel get into the ring and talk about he was not eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and he was going into the Andre the Giant Battle Royale as well, and he was going to win it. But then Ryback came out and he said he wanted to win in the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, and also Ryback then proceeded to beat Axel in a squash. And that gets us to our main event of the evening. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Bryan got Rollins into a surfboard early on. Orton came in. Reigns and Bryan kept up the momentum. Seth Rollins then got knocked out of the ring, and this caused Randy Orton to kind of call a little powwow because most of the rest of the Authority, save for Triple H and Stephanie, were there. J&J Security, Big Show, Kane, and they went into commercial break. They come out of the commercial break, and the Authority has the upper hand because J&J Security were running interference, and this allowed Rollins to get a cheap shot in on Reigns. Daniel Bryan gets into the match. He counters Seth Rollins' attempt at a roll-up into a yes lock. But then Orton broke it up. And then Reigns and Rollins both get hot tags too long after that. And then Reigns gets in there. He just starts nailing Rollins with clotheslines in the corner. Reigns begins setting up for the Superman punch, but he has to turn and hit it on Joey Mercury instead because Mercury was trying to interfere. This allowed Rollins to get the upper hand again. Then Rollins tagged in Orton, and Orton tried to do his Hangman DDT on Reigns, but then Seth Rollins blind tagged Randy Orton in. Orton got upset about this and started to stomp away, and Show and Kane were trying to calm him down as best he could. And meanwhile, Rollins went for a curb stomp, but Reigns countered, hit the Superman punch, and then got a blind tag, a kind of humorous blind tag, because whereas Orton was upset that he got tagged out, Reigns didn't mind so much. Bryan hit the running knee on Rollins for the pin and the victory. And then after that, Orton, the broadcast speed kind of lost out for about a minute or so. But when it came back, Orton was in the ring, Rollins was in the ring, looking like, oh no, Orton's going to RKO me or something. And Orton starts to go in, Jamie Noble runs into the ring, he gets hit with an RKO. Orton then runs into the corner and just kind of startles Rollins, but then Orton just kind of slips out of the ring and walks off. And a very worried Seth Rollins stays back in the ring. And that's how the show ends. All in all, this was a pretty average show. I mean, it wasn't horrendous. I mean, I can understand certain guys not wanting to be in the match, but excuse me. Most of the matches on Fastlane really weren't that intensive, so I could understand, Cena maybe not wanting to be in the match, but other than that, it was a pretty average show. I mean, the only noteworthy thing was the Hall of Fame announcement, really. I mean, I guess Orton still being in the Authority might mean something, but obviously it doesn't mean anything. They're setting up towards the Orton-Rollins match at WrestleMania. So, see you next time, which would probably be, I guess it would be WrestleMania for these recaps, but, obviously there's going to be at least one more episode of the Whimsical Adventures on Peggy, and then after that there's going to be the Green Arrow Quiver Random Trade Review, And there might be a couple other videos in between there. I don't know yet. See you then.